Have you ever just stopped and looked around at how insanely comfortable our lives are today? We live in a world where everything, from our next meal arriving at the door to the exact temperature of our living room, is controlled with a quick tap on a screen. It feels totally normal to us, right? It feels like this is just the default setting for humanity. But the truth is, this setup, where we aren't constantly fighting just to survive the night, is an extreme anomaly. We are living in a tiny, incredibly fragile, and very recent bubble. 99.99%. Keep that number in mind, because for over 99.99% of human history, our ancestors had absolutely no guarantees. No guaranteed food, no stable shelter, no baseline physical safety. They woke up every single day with exactly one goal: surviving until tomorrow. Everything we consider a basic, non-negotiable necessity today would have been an unimaginable luxury to them. So, if we really want to figure out why we humans behave the way we do, we need a complete reset of our perspective.
Part 1. Origins and Extinct Species.
To get that perspective, we have to rewind way, way back to an Earth that would look completely alien to us today. Around 6 million years ago, our lineage split from apes. Fast forward a bit to 2.8 million years ago, and we see the very first early humans popping up using super basic tools. Now, we generally think of humanity as this one solitary, triumphant bloodline destined to conquer the globe. But by the time our specific species, Homo sapiens, finally showed up around 200,000 years ago, there were actually at least 6 other completely distinct human species living right alongside us. We were sharing the globe with highly capable cousins who had their own cultures, their own tools, and their own ways of surviving. And here is a seriously humbling fact for you. Some of those other human species, they were wildly successful. Take Homo erectus, for example. They didn't just scrape by. They absolutely thrived, surviving for a staggering 2 million years. To put that into perspective, that is literally 10 times longer than our modern species has even existed. They weren't just some brief evolutionary stepping stone. They were deeply established and incredibly adaptable. Which brings us to a massive, profound mystery. Where did everybody go? About 10,000 years ago, all those other human species just vanished, leaving us completely alone. Why did they go extinct? Well, there are 2 leading theories we have to look at. Theory 1 is basically about resources. It suggests we simply outcompeted them. Our ancestors were highly cooperative, and maybe we just grabbed all the best food and territory. Theory 2, however, paints a much darker picture. It suggests they were actually the victims of repeated violent clashes, essentially genocidal wipeouts at the hands of Homo sapiens. And sure, modern humans do carry a tiny bit of Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA, but it was nowhere near enough to actually merge the species. Whether we starved them out or fought them out, at the end of the day, only we survived. Part 2, Fire and Brain Evolution. So how did we pull that off? Well, for nearly 2 million years, early humans were just hitting rocks together, using basic stone tools without much innovation. But then we mastered an element that changed the game forever: fire. Fire wasn't just a convenient way to stay warm, it was a biological and technological hack. Cooking our food unlocked dense, easily digestible calories, and those extra calories went straight to fueling rapid brain development. Plus, fire extended our usable time past sunset, scared off terrifying night predators, and hunters even used it to flush animals out of the brush. It was the ultimate multi-tool that put us on the fast track to dominance.
Part 3. The Anthropological Viewpoint.
Now, let's jump to about 70,000 years ago. Thanks to those cooked calories, our expanding brains underwent this crucial cognitive shift. We developed modern language, turning us into elite, hyper-communicative survivors who could actually plan for the future. But from an anthropological viewpoint, there's a fascinating twist here. Because ancient societies weren't specialized yet, a single hunter-gatherer had to be a master of everything. They had to mentally catalog hundreds of safe and toxic plants, track unpredictable weather and animal migrations, craft complex tools by hand, and memorize huge geographical maps. Anthropologists actually suggest that because of this intense individual daily requirement, the average brain volume back then might have been physically larger than yours or mine today. Individually speaking, they had to be incredibly sharp just to make it through the week. Part 4. Hunters versus ancient farmers. So, if these ancient hunters were such brilliant individual survivalists, what caused them to change their entire way of life? It all comes down to a massive paradigm shift around 12,000 years ago. Just imagine their daily routines side by side. 50,000 years ago, every single hunter-gatherer had to be a rugged all-rounder. You had to do it all. But then the agricultural revolution happened, and suddenly you didn't have to be a jack of all trades anymore. An ancient farmer could just focus on breeding resilient wheat and rely on someone else in the village to build a house or forge a tool. We essentially traded our total individual self-reliance for the immense world-building power of community and specialization.
Part 5. The Agricultural Revolution.
That detailed transition from hunting and foraging to full-on farming was the spark that ignited everything. It's like a giant domino effect. First, agriculture gave us a reliable food source. Unlike a hunted mammoth, a field of grain could be harvested and hoarded for the winter. But, of course, hoarded food is incredibly valuable, which meant we suddenly needed protective walls to guard it. Building walls naturally forced people to settle down and build permanent villages. As those villages grew closer together, specialized ideas began spreading like wildfire, eventually exploding into massive cities and sprawling empires, sharing vital knowledge.
Part 6. The Modern Human Era.
Because we became so deeply interconnected, our unique ability to cooperate just snowballed, launching us straight into the scientific and industrial revolutions at a mind-bending pace. To really put this exponential progress into perspective, there have been roughly 125,000 generations since the human lineage began. Out of all of those, organized civilization has only existed for about 500 generations. We've only been using the scientific method for a mere 20 generations, and the internet? That's barely one. Your entire digital modern lifestyle makes up less than 0.001% of human history. We are moving so fast, it's almost impossible to comprehend.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway. We have completely altered the Earth's climate. We routinely launch people into the vacuum of space in metal tubes. We instantly beam high-definition video across the globe. But underneath all of that, biologically, we are doing it all with the exact same hardware, the exact same brains as our ancestors from 70,000 years ago. We are literally ancient hunter-gatherers trying to process a hyper-modern, overwhelming, totally artificial digital age.
So the next time you feel your blood pressure rising because a train is 5 minutes late or your Wi-Fi keeps buffering, just pause, take a breath, and think about how insanely fast we constructed this complex, fragile world around us. We are sitting at the absolute peak of an enormous evolutionary mountain. But it leaves you wondering, with ancient 70,000-year-old software running this incredibly high-speed society, are our modern technological skyscrapers actually built on a solid foundation? Or are we just building on quicksand? It's definitely something to think about.